Merry Christmas, everyone. I hope you're having a great time this year, and I'm pretty sure you guys probably weren't expecting me to review this one, because there are a lot of other classics I would have gone with, like It's a Wonderful Life or Home Alone. But it's something I want to do for this time of year, not only for Christmas, but also to conclude my Iron Man reviews. And what I'm going to be talking about is Iron Man 3, which is not directed by Jon Favreau. It is directed by Shane Black. In this film, Tony is dealing with anxiety and PTSD after saving New York from an alien invasion and putting a nuke inside a wormhole, while he later learns about a new terrorist who calls himself the Madarin, who's been randomly blowing people up around the world, and after the Mandarin's men destroy his house and blow up his suits, he has to go out and find the Mandarin and stop him. Jon Favreau decided not to direct this film because he was still burnt out after the whole problems that he went through with making Iron Man 2. And there were also some creative differences, so he decided to not direct it, but he's still in the film as Happy Hogan, so at least he's still a part of it. So instead, they got Shane Black to direct it, who at the time was known for directing movies like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, which is also starring Robert Downey Jr., and writing all four the Lethal Weapon movies, and is now known for directing movies like The Nice Guys. And I love his work when it comes to writing and directing, like Lethal Weapon, or directing movies like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and The Nice Guys. Not The Predator, I did not enjoy that one, or Play Dirty. This movie was highly anticipated because it came out a year after the Avengers. People thought that we were going to get more great MCU films after that, because they were hoping that they would get more films that would just tie into how much the first Avengers was that great. And the trailers made it look like it was going to be a serious and dark movie with Tony losing his house and his suit, and having another trailer where they would show a lot of Tony's other suits that didn't get blown up, and having the Mandarin say famous lines like, "You'll never see me coming. Lesson number 1. Heroes. There is no such thing. Some people call me a terrorist. I consider myself a teacher." People thought that this film was going to be great, that it was going to be as good as the first Avengers, and we're hoping that would be better than Iron Man 2. And it came out as a mixed bag, where half of the audience and critics loved it and the other half hated it. And as for me, I did enjoy it the first time I watched it, even though there was a twist in the film that did bug me, which I'll talk more about that twist in a minute. But this is by no means a great movie. It's not one of the best MCU films, and it's certainly not as good as the first Iron Man film. But I still have a fun time watching it, and every time I put it on, I just lay back and just enjoy it. But what I do like about this film is that it feels completely different compared to the first two films. It's the oddball film in the trilogy that people look at and say, that one's too weird for me. I mean, it's not like a Temple of Doom situation where that one is the oddball, the original Indiana Jones trilogy, but this movie is kind of similar in regards to how different it tried to be. And you can still watch Iron Man 3 for what it is, just as a silly, campy, but entertaining action movie. But what I do like about this film is that this movie gives Tony an arc where after he saves New York, he's going through PTSD and anxiety. Like when someone mentions New York in front of him, he freaks out and goes out and tries to take a few deep breaths to help calm down. And it's also because he is now forced to live in a different life that he thought was not real. Like, he now knows that both aliens and gods are real in this world, and he's in shock that it's true. I mean, how could you not if both of those things were real? And he's also having issues trying to get out of his hobbies, even though they are kind of an addiction, like working on some stuff in his lab and not paying attention to Pepper, who he's now dating. And after he loses his house and his suits, and the new suit that he's wearing currently is not working, he's forced to be Iron Man without an Iron Man suit for a while, where he has to use both his head and his wits to try to get himself out of a bad situation, like finding small things that would help create an explosion to get a bad guy away from him, or create little ornament bombs bombs that would explode in front of their faces and create a glove that would shock them. And when you see Tony doing all that for this film, that creates a lot of fun moments where he has to improvise with what he has. And whenever he gets parts of his suit back, he has to improvise by only having one glove and one rocket boot to take down some bad guys in one room. And I also like the scenes where he's with this little kid named Harley that helps him, played by Ty Simpkins, who is also known for Insidious at the time. And Robert Downey Jr. is still awesome as Tony Stark. I've already mentioned it in the first 2 reviews, but I do mean it. He is great as this character, who is still a bit of a jerk in this film, but he does a really good job at playing a character that can be a jerk, but has a good heart. And those are my favorite type of characters, where the main characters can at times be jerks for a while, but would also have a good heart. Now, let's talk about one of the main villains of the film. I'll get to the Mandarin in a minute, but let's for now talk about Aldrich Killian, played by Guy Pearce, who is the head of Advanced Idea Mechanics, or AIM for short, who created Extremis that causes people to blow up, but also causes some people to control it and use it to kill people. Now, I do think Guy Pearce is a very underrated actor. I love him in movies like Memento, and he does do a good job here, but his character is pretty much a copy of other movie villains like Syndrome from The Incredibles and the Riddler from Batman Forever, where the villain starts out as an awkward nerdy guy that is a huge fan of the main character who is also rich, and that character hurts the main villain's feelings that causes them to become the main villains, where those villains later become rich and come up with an evil plan to try to kill them. This is honestly the kind of character development they would give Aldrich Killian in this film, and it's kind of lazy. Then again, when you look at the MCU's villains, or at least the villains in the first 2 Iron Man films, they were never the strongest part of those films, like either Ironmonger from the first film or Whiplash from the second film. Of course, unless if you count villains like Loki or Thanos. Alright, and now we get to talk about the main reason why a lot of people hate this film, and that is the Mandarin. Now, I am unfortunately going to get into spoilers because I am going to talk about the big twist that happens halfway in. So if you have not seen Iron Man 3, I am going to give a spoiler warning, and skip to this time if you don't want to know what the twist is. That's your warning. For most of the film, we see him through TV reports of him being a terrifying threat, and we see him kill a person on camera at one point to show the president. But then Tony eventually finds him in Miami and finds out that he's not really the Mandarin at all, and he's not really a terrorist. He's just an actor named Trevor Slattery. A lot of people hated that twist when they saw that in the film, and caused a lot of fans to just rage quit on the MCU. He was hired by Aldrich Killian to become a terrorist, just a way to hide the fact that they are the ones that are accidentally killing people with the Extremis serum, when they were really trying to use it to help people regrow their arms in case if they lose them, but it would also cause a side effect that would cause them to blow up. Now, admittedly, when I first watched this film, that twist did bug me at first, but the more I watched it and the more I was paying attention to the story, that twist, dare I say it, grew on me. And you know what? I like the twist. I'm being serious. I like the twist. Unsubscribing right now. Unsubscribe Jason Jensen because he likes the twist in Iron Man 3. Unsubscribe. Now, does it make sense for this trilogy when they set up the 10 rings in the first film? No. Does it make sense for the Mandarin character for the comics? No. But I like it, and it makes the movie feel different. It doesn't feel like it's the same. Sure, it has some moments where you look back on the film knowing the twist that would make it more confusing, like him killing a guy on camera, but you know that he has like fake guns in his room, making you wonder, did he really kill the guy on camera, or is that guy still alive somewhere? And yes, it is a little over the top, but it actually made Trevor a fun character for this film, and Ben Kingsley does a great job as the character. And what also makes me forgive this twist is that 8 years later, we did eventually get the real Mandarin in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. And also, also, the Blu-ray for Thor: The Dark World had a short called All Hail the King, where in the end of that short, we learn that there is the real Mandarin out there. And yeah, I can get why a lot of people would hate that twist, because it feels like a slap in the face where like, hey, this is what we're setting up, and we're like, nope, this is a joke, and we're just hiring an actor for this scene. And I can imagine that there is someone that bought a lot of Mandarin merchandise for this film, but then saw this movie and just threw them all in the trash. And the best thing I can say about Iron Man 3 is that it feels different compared to the other MCU films. This movie, for the most part, doesn't feel like an MCU film. It feels like a Shane Black film. And I know some people would say that as a bad thing, but I'm saying it as a good thing, because when you look at the MCU films that we get nowadays, most of the time, they don't feel like they were made by any director with a vision for their story. They just feel like they are just Marvel films that are supposed to set up another film or another TV show and just have that be the entire film, which makes it very annoying and would also mess up what a director's trying to do with their own film, because it would no longer feel like a director's film, it would feel like a company's film. Like, a good example of that is Captain America: Brave New World. That movie doesn't feel like it was made by one director with his own vision. It feels like other people at Marvel were trying to make it by having a lot of setup stuff and bringing back characters from other films, where it doesn't really feel like its own film. It just feels more like a setup and tie-in movie. Another good example is Captain Marvel. That one doesn't feel like it's made by a director with their own vision. It just feels like someone else at Marvel made it just to tie in to the other films that we know already. But this film doesn't feel like that. This movie feels like a Shane Black film. Sure, you got some moments that reference the Avengers, but for the most part, I feel like I'm watching a Shane Black film, where you see his style and his writing and his dialogue, and you see how the characters react when they're in a ridiculous situation, just like they would in a Shane Black film. The movie is very weird, but entertaining and a lot of fun, and it kind of has a spy feel to it. In fact, when the credits play, there is a theme for the credits that sound very spy movie-like. Now, I have to mention again, this is not a great movie. It does have some issues with its story. Like, as I already mentioned, Guy Pearce as the main villain of the film, as he calls himself, the Mandarin, when he's really not. And there's also another fight scene between Tony and this one character in this small town, where they're using a lot of quick cuts for this fight, and it doesn't look great. It just looks very blurry, and you can barely tell what is going on. Iron Man 3 is a perfectly enjoyable Iron Man film that's not as good as the first film, but I do like it more than the second film. And I know it's a hot take, but I like the twist. I think it makes sense for the film. Now, does it make Aldrich Killian a great villain? No, but I can still forgive this twist because we got the real Mandarin 8 years later. The movie has issues, yes, and it's definitely not an amazing film, but it's definitely a movie I just like to enjoy. And honestly, I like it more than some of the MCU films that we get nowadays. Like, I certainly like it more than Captain America: Brave New World, but I do get why a lot of people hate it. It's definitely not top tier, but you know what? I don't care. I just like this movie. I'm gonna give Iron Man 3 a B+. So guys, if you have seen Iron Man 3, what do you think about it? Do you think it's a great MCU film and you love Iron Man 3? Or do you still think that this is the worst Iron Man film and one of the worst MCU films? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you like this video, then please leave a like and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss a thing, because it helps my channel grow. Hit the notification bell so you know what other videos I'm posting. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks for watching, guys, and Merry Christmas.